Assalamu alaikum. I am online today because we are going to talk about mindfulness and stress. There is so much going on right now. We are going to talk about stress, people. We're going to talk about stress. So, if you are just joining me, just let me know where you are tuning in from. And we are going to get started as soon as I log on in a couple of places. I'm going to give you some very practical ways for you to start your mindfulness practice, some practical ways for you to begin to meditate. We are going to talk about how Quran and Sunnah forms of mindfulness, how it applies with our deen. So I have a lot of good stuff to share with you. So tune in, tag a friend, share the video, whichever you feel inclined to do. If you are just joining me or you're just tuning in because I popped up as live on your feed and you're like, who's this lady? My name is Mubarakah Ibrahim and I am a health and happiness coach. Wherever you are seeing this feed, you will find probably some information about my bio. And so I am often talking about stress, right? I'm often talking about health and wellness. What I do is I connect physical, mental, and spiritual well-being because the weakness of one weakens them all, and the strengthening of one strengthens them all. Assalamu alaikum. Sinabu, how are you? So I just want to real quick jump on my Facebook feed so that I can share the video so that we can talk about stress. So do me a favor, if you are on Facebook, go ahead and share this video. And I am actually going to do the same if my internet decides it's going to work with me. I really wish I could simulcast from my computer for Instagram, but Instagram is very exclusive. It wants you on Instagram. It does not allow you to be other places. So if you are tuning in and you are joining me, do me a favor and share this video so that we can get others in on the conversation and in on the discussion. We are going to talk about stress and your immune system. All right. Here we go. Stress and the immune system. I'm sure that the title of my video probably says something else. I'm not sure why, but okay. I know why, because I promised you that I would come on today at 4, and I did not take the time or the effort to do all of the technical stuff. Oh, good. Sakina is logging in from Pennsylvania. Ikan, wa alaikum salam. Rihal is from India. I love the internet. Gaylunga 2313. I have no idea what flags those are, so you're going to have to help me out. Wa alaikum salam. So we are talking about stress and the immune system today. I posted a post the other day and I said you can take vitamin C, you can take zinc, and you can burn sage, but if you are stressed out, your immune system will still be weak. And so I got a lot of feedback saying, well, what can we do to change our immune system? So today, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk to you about what you can do to change your immune system. And okay, I am trying to share my video on the page, but it's not letting me, but that's okay. All right. What is the immune system? So that's the first thing that we have to talk about. What exactly is the immune system? So your immune system is sort of like your army. And your army is there to protect you. It has offense, it has defense, right? So one part of your immune system is offensive, which means that it is always working, right? We get inundated with lots of different, what do you call it? Lots of different environmental toxins, physical toxins, all of these things throughout our daily lives, and our immune system is constantly there to battle it, right? We even have parts of our immune system that actually retreats and just waits until we are exposed to bacteria or virus or other things, and then it comes in and it's kind of like our backup, right? So with all that's going on with viruses and the COVID-19 that's going around, everybody is talking about immune system, boosting your immune system. Why is that so important? That's super important because that's like your backup army. Even when you are, so have you ever, well, here's a good example. Several years ago, I used to get sick all the time, right? And I used to laugh about it tongue-in-cheekly that if my husband came home and he sneezed, I got the flu. So he had a really strong immune system. At the time, I did not have a strong immune system, so I would get sick all the time. What was the difference between us? Now, I don't know what the technical, like, this is what was wrong with me kind of thing was. That was 5 years ago, before I changed the way that I was eating and the things that I were doing in terms of ketogenic eating and intermittent fasting. But I got sick a lot because my immune system just wasn't working at its optimal. Now our situation is sort of reversed. He doesn't get sick a lot, but he certainly gets sick more than I do. And if I do get sick, it's normally maybe like a sniffle. I think maybe about, my Facebook feed reminded me a year ago I had a stuffy nose. So because your immune system is strong, when your immune system is strong, then when you are exposed to bacteria and viruses, it does a better job in fighting it off. But your immune system isn't just what you're eating. It isn't just the fact that you're exercising, even though I talk about these two things a lot, right? It does matter that you're eating whole, healthy, nutrient-dense foods. It does matter that you're getting up and doing physical movement, because both of those things are going to keep your immune system strong. But it also matters that you're not stressed out. And I know this is like, oh my gosh, you're saying that I should manage my stress when my kids are home and I have to homeschool and I have to log on to a Zoom meeting and I got to do this and I got to cook and I got to clean and nobody's going anywhere, so the house is even messier, everything is crazy. Okay, breathe. I know it's a little challenging, but when you take time to stop, break, breathe, you are going to find that you are going to be much better centered and you'll be able to deal with things in a lot better manner. One of those ways for you to manage your stress is to get used to practicing mindfulness. Now, mindfulness and meditation is really used interchangeably. Some people refer to it as meditation. I refer to it as mindfulness because when you say meditation, people think of sitting on a rock, holding your fingers together, reciting right? That's not necessarily what it means. When we talk about mindfulness, mindfulness is literally blocking out everything but one particular task or one particular train of thought. That's what I want you to think of mindfulness as. In Islam, we have something that is called khushu, right? During your salah, you are to have complete khushu. Your khushu is a form of mindfulness. It is the blocking out of everything and focusing on your communication in your salah with Allah. So mindfulness is not something that is a new age thing that just came about, that doesn't apply to Muslims. It is actually a part of our religion. But we don't really focus on it a lot, unfortunately. And part of that is because people don't really know how do you begin to attain the ability, right, this discipline of really separating everything out except for one thought. So I'm going to give you some really practical tips on how you can do that and how you can get your kids to do it as well, even if they're little, right? So first thing that I want you to do is I want you to think of mindfulness. So this is a mind shift. I want you to think of meditation and mindfulness. The definition that we're going to use is that you are focusing on one particular thing. I don't want you to think about what your body is doing and you have to sit still or you have to, that's actually not necessarily a part of mindfulness, right? You want to be able to focus on one thing. So a few years ago, I enrolled my daughter inside of a study. So if you've been following me for a minute, you know that I live in New Haven, Connecticut, where we have Yale University, and they're always doing a study about something, which we don't participate in a lot, but I thought that it was recommended by our naturopath and a study that he was doing, rahimahullah. He has since passed away, but he was such a great resource when he was here. May Allah give Brother Adar Jinnah to the Firdaus. And it was a study on mindfulness and young people. And the parents had to be a part of this study. So I'm going to explain the way that it was explained to me. And it was so fascinating at the time. I had not had a lot of exposure to mindfulness, but this study really brought it home and connected a lot of dots for me. I have since went on to get a stress management certification and become a master trainer in that certification. So it really sparked something in me, and it made me really connect what we do in Islam in terms of our salah to what the new studies of mindfulness and meditation talk about the benefits of. So if we think of mindfulness in terms of focusing on one thing, it can be as simple as, if you want your kids to get into a mindfulness practice, then you can have them pretend to be aliens. So let me explain. Give them a task. Pretend that they are aliens and they have to brush their teeth and actually explain to their alien friends later what brushing teeth really is like for human beings. So it's not just I'm going to brush for 2 minutes and I'm good. What does the toothpaste look like? What is the texture of the toothpaste like? When you put it in your mouth, what does it taste like? What does it feel like? And not just feel like in terms of whether or not it's soft or hard. What does it feel like in terms of its texture? Can you actually describe that? So, and we can do this as adults as well. If you are really experiencing what brushing your teeth is like, during that 5 minutes, giving it as much detail as you possibly can, you are practicing mindfulness. As you brush your teeth, do you push your toothbrush all the way to the inside of your mouth? How far back are you actually reaching? Are you reaching the inside of the inside surfaces of your teeth? All of that, you can take the same task that would normally take you a minute, and it will actually take you about 5 to 10 minutes to really detail what that experience is like. You can take the same experience. So these are very small daily mindfulness things that you can do in order to get yourself prepared to extend your mindfulness practice, right? You can do the same thing when it comes to washing hands, right? As they're washing their hands, what does the water feel like? Is it soft? Is it hard, right? That's something that is interesting for people to have to explain. Like, what does water actually feel like, right? Not just its temperature, but what does it feel like? When you talk about washing the hands, what does the bubbles feel like? Does it change the way your hands move against one another? Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it like, all of these descriptions make you have to stop and actually think about that particular thing that you're doing, right? So you take this and do it for a week. I'm going to actually have a mindfulness practice when I am brushing my teeth every morning and night. That is a form of mindfulness. What happens when you're able to start practicing mindfulness? Your blood pressure decreases. We know mindfulness is beneficial for preventing or for treating anxiety and depression, which is super important now with all of the things that are going on with COVID-19. One of the bigger concerns outside of actual health, as outside of physical health, is people mental health, right? I was just reading an article about COVID-19 worries are giving people insomnia. As yesterday, I literally had to intentionally log off of Facebook because I felt like I was just reading a super long janaza announcement. It was death after death after death. I have a lot of Facebook friends who are in New York, and so mashallah, they have really been feeling it, and a lot of people have been passing away. And so I intentionally had to log off because I could feel the anxiety building up and the sadness building up to see all of the announcements. So with all of this going on, mindfulness and doing this practice, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, can really help you calm those anxieties, decrease depression, decrease all of the anxiousness that you feel about everything that goes on, and make you feel more in control of your life and your thoughts. So that is one technique. Now, another technique that I wanted to share with you is something that's called one stone. So I grabbed this stone out of my garden. That's why it's dirty, right? And you can do this with any stone or anything that you can fit inside of your hand. So sometimes, I don't know, this is my earbuds case. You could do it with that. This is my automatic filming thing. So anything. So grab something that can fit inside of the palm of your hand. So nothing like that has multiple things like keys or anything like that, but something that can fit in the palm of your hand and do this particular technique with me. So this is something that I often teach my clients. I used to teach a weekly yoga class a few years ago. And I would always end the class with the one stone technique, which is a technique inside of the Oasis certification and master trainer certification that I have. So when you want to extend your mindfulness practice, one of the things that turns people off about actually having a mindfulness practice is they think that it has to take an hour. They think that it has to be something that you have to dedicate a whole lot of time to, but actually you do not. You can start off with a simple 5 minutes. Research shows 5 minutes will make a difference in your mental health. And your mental and physical health, we know, is completely connected, right? It's not sort of it's not just intertwined, it's actually completely connected. And so I'm gonna talk a little bit while you go find something in your hand. I'm gonna use this stone from my garden. And when you think about mindfulness, again, I want to remind you that it is simply just focusing your mind in a one train of thought for a specific amount of time. So our goal is to focus only on the stone. It is called the one stone technique. When you're focusing on a stone, it's important for you to also realize that your eyes do not need to be closed. You're actually going to look at your stone. And you're going to notice all of the physical characteristics of the stone. So I'm looking at my stone and I'm noticing that it's white, right? It's pretty evenly white on the entire thing. I have some dirt on it because I literally just picked it up from my garden. I also noticed that there are some holes in it. Some of the holes and divots are of different depths. And some of them are deep enough that it looks black, and some of them are shallow enough that I could just see it. But when I look really closely at my stone, I notice that it is not completely smooth, that there's actually quite a few divots and dips inside of it. I see on the back there's actually a larger one here. So there's lots of different things that I can notice. You may notice shapes in yours or different things. Whatever it is, you are going to completely focus on that stone for this time. Now, once you've actually analyzed the stone with your eyes or whatever object you have in your hand, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to literally just feel it. Rub your fingers across it, and you're going to decide, is it smooth? Is it rough? Is it cold? Is it hot? Like, what does it actually feel like? Once you have the tactile of the feeling of the object, then you're going to really think about, what shape is it, right? Does it fill my hand up? Can I close my fingers? Is it too big for that, right? So we want to really focus on that object. Again, giving it as many details as you possibly can. Now, you're paying attention to me sort of right now, but when you do this after you're away from your computer, it can take you 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on what the object is, to give it as many details as you possibly can, right? So I want to tell you a great way of using this technique. A great way of using this technique is anytime you feel anxious. So I had a client once that had anxiety, and she would actually keep her stone in her pocket all of the time. And she had a little bit of anxiety, with social anxiety. So she told me that when she learned this technique and she was inside of a store or someplace where she was around a lot of people, she would literally put her hand in her pocket and start feeling the stone, trying to block out all of the people and motion going on around her, because she knew that that was the source of her anxiety. And so she would literally just take 2 minutes standing in a grocery line, and she would reach in the pocket and say, okay, is my stone warm? Is it cold? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Is it big? Is it little? Can I wrap my hands around it? Can I feel any differences? Where is the little divot that I normally feel? Because she became familiar with her stone. And just being able to shift her mind from what's going on around her to that one thing made a huge difference in her ability to be able to calm herself down. So this is a technique that I'm going to give you that I really hope that you use and you find benefit from, because taking a few minutes just to do that, right? And this is great for people sort of like me. When I first got into mindfulness, I'm a very type A personality. Part of that type A personality is that I feel like I must always be productive. I must always be doing something, right? Right? That's a part of my type A personality. So I'll give you an example. I don't read novels and fiction books because I feel like, hey, I'm wasting my time. I need to read informationals, biographies, and knowledge-based books, right? So that's a part of my type A personality. I'm always doing something. So it was really hard for me to actually sit down and say, hey, I am going to start a mindfulness practice. It started off by doing something really simple. The last technique that I want to share with you is really breath work. Breath work is such a perfect way when you're ready to start sitting still in your mindfulness practice. Breath work is a great way for you to do that. The reason why breath work is good when it comes to starting a mindfulness practice is because if you're type A like me, you need to focus on a physical sensation. And so the breath is a physical sensation that you can bring your mind to, right? It's not just, I'm going to sit down and be quiet and put my fingers together and then try to make my brain do what I say it's going to do. It's actually focusing your brain on something. right? And so breath work helps you with that because you can physically feel the breath as it goes into your body. You can feel it as it comes out. You can feel the warmth or the chill in your nose as over your perched lips. It is something that you can actually bring your mind to so that you can focus on, because remember that mindfulness is about being able to focus your brain, right? Focus your brain. When you do breath work, I want you to have a certain amount of breaths in mind, right? So this may mean, you know what? Every time I get finished praying, I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to do 10 breaths. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, right? Doing that breath work and at your own pace. There are different techniques of holding and perching and blowing out and all of these things, and they all have their benefit. But I want you to not try to make it complicated. I'm really, really adamant on people making healthy lifestyle changes as simplistic as they possibly can, right? Make it simple, create the habit first, then you can add the other stuff to it. So starting off with something simple. For me, remember I told you I was type A, and so I have to know how much, how long, what we're doing. I discovered that when I do not try to change my breath, it takes about 48 inhale exhales will give me 5 minutes of mindfulness. The last thing that I want to remind you of is, remember, there is no such thing as a perfect mindfulness practice. Mindfulness and your brain is sort of like training a puppy. Every time that puppy is trying to get away, you're going to gently bring it back. Tell it to sit down, right? The brain is the same way. You're going to say, hey, I'm going to focus only on my rock, or I'm going to focus only on my breath. And then the brain is going to be like, but there's like 10 loads of clothes to wash. And you're going to say, that can wait. Right now, we're focusing on the breath. And the brain's going to say, but the kids are getting ready to wake up, so you really need to go start breakfast. And you're going to say, no, that can wait. I'm going to focus on my breath, because all of that will be there when I am done. So you bring your mind back. Just like training a puppy, you tell to sit and he wants to get up and run, and you gently pull him back, right? So your brain is the same way. You're going to constantly have to, in the beginning, you're going to constantly have to pull it back, but that's okay, because eventually it will get used to sitting there, focusing, and then your mindfulness practice can go from 48 breaths to 75 breaths to 100 breaths to you actually being able to just sit and breathe for 10 minutes or 30 minutes or however long you want your mindfulness practice to be. Practicing mindfulness for a Muslim can be extremely beneficial, because the better you become at mindfulness, again, starting off with those techniques that allows you physical movement as you're doing your mindfulness practice, that is going to lead you to the ability to be able to focus on your salah with much more khushu, right? So the brushing your teeth technique we talked about at the beginning, the technique of washing your hands, the technique of following your breath, the technique of using your one stone, all of those things are ways for you to start to be able to physically have something to attach your mindfulness to until you're able to actually just sit and focus your brain on one thing without having to move around. So start there. Let me know how it works for you. Would love to see your stone. If you're going to try it, do it. Tag me in it. Let me know that you've tried the one stone technique, and I will talk to you next time. If you found this helpful, go ahead and tag a friend, share the video, and next time we will maybe do some breath work together And I will give you a heads up on when we're going to do that, because it'll be a lot less talking because I will have to do breath work. Okay? So I will talk to you then. My name is Mubarakah Ibrahim, and I am your health and happiness coach. Assalamu alaikum.